This is the third video of our Python basics review, basically. And in this video, we're going to talk about repetition. Okay, so we're going to talk about repeating the same line of code over and over based on some conditions. And that's one of the big powers of a computer, is it can keep repeating that code as long as we want. Okay, so in this case, we're going to talk about for loops. We're talking about while loops. There are no do loops in C++, which is okay because I never use them in C++ anyway. So, but there's always a way around that. Okay. So one other thing I wanted to talk about, we haven't mentioned before, and this is in PyCharm in particular, is that you can run things at the Python console. Okay, that since Python is an interpreted language, it has the option of going to the console where you can do things kind of live. Okay, so I can do like x equals 10. Note in this case that it tells me over here the values that I currently have defined there. Okay, and then you can do things like print x, and it's going to print those out. Okay, so the console can be a place you can test things out to kind of see how they're working in isolation of your program. Okay, it doesn't work exactly like it does in the main code, but if you ever see people talking about the console, then that's kind of what they're talking about. Okay, and again, I was picking the console at the bottom. I assume you can see the window here. If not, at the bottom of the window in my main.py in PyCharm, I have the run is the second one. That's the default we use. The fifth one is going to be the Python console. Okay, click back on the terminal to go through this. Okay, just a little thing to do as well. Okay, so for loops are different than they are in C++. If I can type. Okay, and in C++, you have the for, you set the initial conditions, you set the terminal condition, and you set the increment. Doesn't work that way in Python at all. Python has many features of a functional language, which we'll talk about more as we go along, what that means. But one of those is that the for loop, instead of being a count-based loop, is instead an iterator loop. I've seen a video where one of the folks who developed Python said that it really should have been a called for each instead. Okay, but the for loop allows us to iterate through something. Okay, that something could be a data structure, could be whatever. Okay, so in trying to make it feel like what we would do in C++, we'll go through this kind of a loop. Okay, so I can say for whatever variable I want, in range is the command I want. Okay, and if we do a range 10, okay, let's talk about this range function. It's a built-in function. It does, you don't have to include anything. It's all automatically there. And what it does, it's going to spit back a list of integers. Okay, and that list of integers, this really should be, the default is going to be a 0. Okay, a 0, 10. You don't have to put the 0, it's implied, but we're going to start with 0, go up to not including the number at the end. Okay, so range 10 will go 0 through 9. Okay, and again, that's implied. Okay, but does not include 10, does include 0. Okay, so if I do this, if I do a print x, this works like the loop you would imagine. Okay, so if I do this, you see I get something it doesn't like. Why doesn't it like it? Indentation there. Do I have an indentation there? Oh, it's because I'm inside a for. Sorry, that's my fault. 100%. Tab there. Tab there. Yeah, we should be good. Yes. Now we see we go from 0 up through 9. Okay. So if I wanted to fix that, so to go through 1 from 10, have a couple of options. First off, I can just print f and then do x plus 1. You can certainly do that. Not x equals 1, x plus 1. Okay, that should work. Something like something. Oh, I didn't end my quotes. Okay, that should print that, which should be good. Okay, or probably A more straightforward method would be just to change this to 1 is my initial condition, up to but not including 11. Okay, that gets us to 1 to 10. So that's how those work. Pretty basic. Okay. As far as the while loop, they're pretty much like you would expect them to be. Okay. So again, we can always use a while loop. We never need a for loop for what we just did for the iteration. But we can have a simple while loop here. We can have, some variable. Let's say C is equal to 1. I can have while C is less than 10. I can print C, and then C is equal to C plus 1. Okay. And that should do what we want as well. Okay, I'll maybe wipe this out so we don't have 2 listed. Okay, that doesn't like, oh, again, same as before. I'm inside of def main, so I need to tab everything over. Yeah, that should go. Yeah, that's 1 through 9. I would have to do a less than or equal to get it. Okay, so, and I mean, that's it. That's the basics of a while loop. The while could be something else. It could be multiple things. You could do here a while true. Okay, and that's going to go on until you hit a break. Okay, a break will get you out of the loop. Okay, so if I do that, it should work. Oh, I forgot. Unlike C++, there we go. True in Python is capital T. Okay. Oh, I clicked on the red dot, see what it wanted. Didn't want anything. Okay. So you can do a while true. You can put menus together while they haven't hit some terminal character, whatever you want. So we could do a simple one here. We could say while C not equal to X. We'll continue on. Rid of that. Then we can let here, oh, I need initial value. So I can do C is equal to 1, this is fine. Okay, I can do C is equal to input, enter a word, X to quit. Okay. And then whatever they entered. Okay. Just print C. I would actually need, this is going to print X if I enter it. So I could say if X does not equal, sorry, if C does not equal X, colon, print C. Okay, that's going to go through. I've got it correctly. Enter word X to quit. I need a better prompt there. I could enter, whatever I want. Does that, can do that until I enter X. Okay. Again, you want your prompt to be better. That would be better. Okay. So that's basically how that would work. So we have the for loops, which are really iterators. We have the while loop, which allows us to go through on whatever condition. Note that infinite loops are still a thing. So we have to be careful about our infinite loops to make sure that we're not getting that problem. Okay. And that control C should stop it again as well. Okay. And that should do it for repetition. Okay. So this really should be the basics of Python. Okay. We'll talk about this a little bit more in class, but this should get us going and up to speed with those that have had a Python versus those that have not. Okay.